In this video, I'm going to show you how to make super affordable, but still really great looking laminate countertops. The first thing I'm going to do is get our sheet material cut down to size. I'm using particle board for this. It's just a stable, really cheap material. I'd say it's the most commonly used for laminate countertops. So I'm going to use a mixture of the track saw and table saw just to get this cut down. But of course, if all you had is a circular saw, you could get this done pretty easy. Now to increase the thickness on the countertops, this is a 3/4 inch piece, and then I'm going to add a 1/2 inch piece on top to make the overall thickness of the countertop 1 1/4 inches, which I just think is a pretty average good thickness for a countertop. You know, you could do 2 layers of 3/4, whatever you want if you want a thicker one, 2 layers of 1/2 inch if you want a thinner one. It's worth mentioning that this piece that I'm making right here is for the eyelid, and there's going to be an overhang, so that's why I'm just going ahead and using 2 full sheets here. If this was just your regular countertop going on your cabinets along the wall, you could just add a strip on the front to make it appear thicker, and then if you have to raise the whole thing up, you could add strips along there as well, just to conserve on weight and material. But like I said, just using 2 full sheets here, just going to get them glued and nailed together. As you can see, I left my panels oversized just so I didn't have to worry about lining them up perfect when I was gluing and nailing them together. And just showing you a couple options there, either using a table saw or track saw or a router to flush trim it. Get them all even and flush. And also I cut all 4 sides, so to get rid of those factory edges that are all beat up. Everything's crisp and clean, ready for the laminate now. The order of operations here really depends on what you're wanting to do. Here with like a square edge like I have in my shop, I would do the edges first. I would actually do this side edge first and then this front, so it wraps that seam right there, and then I would do the top. And that's just so if you're dragging stuff on and off, there's no chance of getting caught on that front edge and ripping that off. But on this kitchen, we're actually using this beveled profile. So for this, I need to do the top first, get that flush trimmed all the way around, and then I can put this on. I'm going to go ahead and trim this laminate down a little bit. You want to leave it oversized, but not too oversized. All right, both pieces are completely clean and ready to go. I'm going to mask up because this contact adhesive is pretty potent. But the way this works, if you've never used contact adhesive before, you apply it to both pieces, your wood and the laminate. You let them completely dry. And then when you put them together, they're bonded forever. And I'm not in a huge hurry, so I'm actually going to go ahead and do 2 coats. Put the first coat on, let it completely dry. Second coat, let that completely dry as well.
Alright, switching over to a voiceover from here on, because once I started working with this contact cement, I didn't really want to keep taking my mask on and off to talk. There are low odor contact cements you can try. I just personally never have. Kind of one of those cases where I have experience and trust in a product, so it just makes it hard to try something else. Like putting 2 coats of the contact cement on as well. 1 coat should be okay, but I mean we've all seen laminate countertops that are failing and peeling, so I'd rather take the extra 20 to 30 minutes it adds to the project to go ahead and do a second coat just to help make sure I have a good bond. Once the second coat of adhesive is dry, we can get the 2 pieces joined together, but once they touch, they're pretty well stuck together, so you want to add something to keep them separated to make sure everything is lined up right where you want it first. Here I'm just using a sheet of plastic, which I would say is probably my favorite thing to use. Some scrap pieces of wood works well too, but you can pretty much use anything you want. So after my piece is lined up where I want it, it's just a matter of pulling a little bit of the plastic out at a time and applying pressure with the roller, working from one end to the other to make sure there's no air bubbles trapped. With the pieces joined together, you don't have to wait at all. You can go ahead and get the excess flush trimmed off the edges. There are a bunch of different router bits for laminate, but I just like to use a normal small flush trim bit with the bearing. Up next, I can get the beveled edge added. This comes 1 5/8 inch wide, so I went ahead and got it cut down to the 1 1/4 inch that I needed on the table saw first. You could leave it oversized and then flush trim it after installing it as well. I just think trimming it beforehand makes it a bit easier. Now talking about price a bit, ordering this beveled edge was literally half of the material cost here for this kitchen. My total material cost was basically right at $500, and this edging was $250 of it. Now in the grand scheme of things, $500 is still cheap, but it could have been only $250 if I just did the plain square edge like I showed in my shop earlier. For the actual laminate sheets, ordering online from Home Depot has usually been the best price for me, and of course they have pretty much any color and pattern you could want. So I'll leave links down below to this laminate along with all the other tools and products I used throughout the video. With the miters cut on the ends of the edging, getting it attached is the same process with the contact adhesive. For this first piece, you can kind of see here I have a small scrap piece just taped on with the miter cut and lined up right where I need to make sure I'm putting my actual piece with the glue on it in the right spot. From there I can continue working around with the other pieces. Next, I like to use a file to smooth over the edges a bit. This stuff can be pretty darn sharp, and the first time I ever made laminate countertops, I cut myself pretty bad feeling the edge right after doing it. So I learned my lesson that first time and make sure I get it filed over smooth first. And that's it for the island piece. So just quickly going through the other section along the wall, which I actually did first because it was more important timeline wise. Obviously the main difference here being the shape. And with these super wonky walls and needing to fit it in between this pantry cabinet and wall, it's easiest to make a template. To do this, I'm just using strips of 1/4 inch plywood and construction grade hot glue with some pin nails for added insurance. This is an example of why it's better to make your own laminate countertops versus buying the pre-made pieces. If I bought pre-made, I'd have to do this section in multiple pieces, having a cut right in the corner, which are never 45 degrees and turn out good. This way, making it myself, I can do it all one piece with no joints and make it custom fit tight, no matter how messed up the walls are. This section was about 9 feet long, which you can order 10 or 12 feet long particle board if you need, or I'm just gluing and using pocket hole screws on the bottom to add the little extra bit I need here. And if I didn't tell you that was pieced together, after flipping it over you couldn't even tell. But now I can trace my template to get it cut down to the final size. When making my template, I just made it flush with the front of the cabinets, so the only thing I need to make sure I add here is the overhang on those two front edges. Up next, unlike the island where I did 2 full pieces, here I'm just adding strips to make it thicker. Depending on your cabinets, you may only have to add 1 small strip to the front edge if you have room for it to hang down. But in this case, these are full overlay cabinet doors and drawers, meaning they go all the way up and would hit the countertops if they hang down. So instead, I have to add strips all around to lift the whole countertop up. From there, it's the same process getting the top laminate and edging applied. It's pretty hard to film this part, but to attach the countertops to the cabinets, I just use some of these angle brackets underneath. Same thing for the island, besides adding these overhang brackets that I'd routed out and screwed on from the inside as well. And that's it. Some quick and easy to make and budget-friendly countertops. As always, thanks for watching. Do me a big favor by liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you're not already. Until next time, take care.